It turns out that the consulting firms Kamala Harris's campaign hired in order to help her win the election that she actually ended up losing have all sorts of interests that conflict with what the Democratic Party purports to support policy-wise. And recently, the fine reporters over at Sludge investigated where the Harris campaign spent the $1 billion that they raised in just a few short months. And the details here are amazing. So let's examine them. So the Harris campaign's largest vendor, the vendor that they spent the absolute most money on, was the Media Buying and Analytics LLC, which is actually a front company for something called Canal Partners media firm. Okay, so Canal Partners does work that directly contradicts or counters Democratic policy objectives, which might explain the fact that it, in my opinion, like if you're promoting a Democrat or a Democrat has hired you in order to help with the campaign, but you support all sorts of pro-corporate policies that the Democrat is against, I mean, isn't there a conflict of interest? Like, isn't there a possibility that maybe they'll put out some dog crap ads and give you bad advice?
Yeah, well, actually, that's exactly one of the things I wanted to get into, Anna, because that's part of why the Democratic ads suck. Because the people making the ads also work for the corporations that those ads should be attacking in order to do effective populist campaigning. So Trump, I think, is a fake populist, but did a lot of, I'm gonna get the sons of bitches, etc. But the Democrats never say anything like that in their ads, because the people making their ads are the corporate goons, and they have a conflict of interest because they would get fired by their other clients if they made ads that would be effective for the Democrats.
Guys, Trump, I don't know if you guys ever saw the YouTube ads that would play with Donald Trump's campaign messaging. It was literally just Trump standing in front of a window, by the way. So he looks dark because he's backlit. And he's just like, yeah, we're trying to raise money for my campaign. If you got a few bucks, like super low production. It was incredible, okay? But anyway, getting back to Kamala Harris's very expensive campaign. So in 2022, let's get back to Canal Partners. Canal Partners worked for a pharmaceutical research and manufacturers of America, or pharma, front group Rare Access Action Project to help it run ads opposing the Biden administration's policy allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices. So that's who they are. And that is the vendor that Kamala Harris's campaign spent the most money on. Media Buying and Analytics LLC, which falls under Canal Partners media firm, has overseen more than $280 million in ad production and placement spending for the Harris campaign, and that total is expected to increase once the FEC disclosures covering the final phase of the campaign are filed. So it's likely the number is much higher than the 280 million. But imagine spending hundreds of millions of dollars of your campaign money on this group, on this vendor, which has all sorts of corporate clients who are very much against the messaging and the policy proposals that Kamala Harris allegedly supports.
So two things about that. Exactly to our point, and what would have been a super effective ad is, and policy is, if Kamala Harris said, I'm gonna negotiate all drug prices. Joe Biden started off something positive. We're negotiating 10 of those prices, but I'm gonna do them all. And I'm gonna make sure that those big drug companies stop robbing you blind. Would have been through the roof. That's a super popular policy. Polls at over 80%. But they work for Big Pharma, so they were never going to do an ad that was going to get them fired from their other clients.
100%.
So hiring these corporate goons is so moronic. That's exactly why I call them corporate Democrats. And you wanna know another client of theirs? Uber. Who else is at Uber? Do you remember? Chief legal officer for Uber's Tony West.
Who's that?
Well, that's the brother-in-law for Kamala Harris, and the person who convinced Kamala Harris, stop talking about price gouging, stop talking about housing, start telling everybody how 90 corporate CEOs are on your side, start embracing the Cheneys, and start embracing big corporations.
It worked out well for her.
And how'd that work out for you, Kamala Harris? How'd that work out for you, Democratic Party, listening to morons, corrupt people like Tony West, driving the party into a ditch so they can get paid more?
So let's talk about some of the other vendors, including Gambit Strategies. The Washington, D.C.-based digital firm Gambit Strategies was paid $122 million for media protection and placement by the Harris and Biden campaigns as of the middle of October. Now, they have worked on successful campaigns like that of Hillary Clinton's in 2016. So money well spent.
Anna, when I read that, I was like, they're amazing. They're using the same people that ran Hillary's campaign into the ground. I mean, they hire proven losers because the idea of doing something different is an anathema to them, right? Oh, go populist, go outsider, go for the average American. Ew, ew. Let's hire the Uber and Big Pharma and Hillary Clinton people. They're such geniuses. Everyone in Washington loves them. And by the way, do you remember that policy that they had that if any consultant, ad company, PR company, any company that worked with a progressive challenging a Democratic incumbent would get banned forever. So they literally banned any company that might do it right and said only the corporate idiots who have caused all of our losses are the only ones we'll hire.
So there's more. I want to talk about one more vendor, and this one is called Pulpit Media. Pulpit Interactive, or BPI, has been a leading Democratic consultancy and media firm in recent election cycles. As of mid-October, the company had received disbursements of over $101 million from the Harris and Biden campaigns. Now, who are these people and what kind of work do they do? What other clients have they represented? Well, the firm has multiple partners, including Kim Axelrod, former Boeing spokesperson Bradley Ahuburio, and Danny Franklin, whose bio says his work at BPI has served McDonald's, JP Morgan Chase, Blackstone, General Mills, and other companies. So in other words, like Canal Partners, Bully Pulpit assists business interests that absolutely go against some of the more progressive economic policies that Democratic candidates espouse. And so when you have Kamala Harris starting out her campaign strong with talk of dealing with the housing crisis, talk of taking these corporate price gougers to task, that's not gonna work out so well for these vendors who, again, have clients or represent clients who are not gonna like that message. And so it totally makes sense now why Kamala Harris made that pivot in the middle of her very short 3-month campaign.
Yes, and also she has no backbone, no principles. She's just a corporate robot. And so that's another huge part of the reason why.
One more thing, Jake, because Bully Pulpit Media, they were paid $760,000 back in 2018 to squash efforts to create a universal healthcare system.
See, guys, that's another thing that we kept saying, and then everybody in the Democratic Party kept yelling at us, shut up, okay, because they were bothered by the fact that we were telling you things that are true and deeply problematic within the Democratic Party. So remember that famous line with Nancy Pelosi saying, oh, I have a universal health care poster in my basement from the 1960s where she buried it, right? And then we told you guys, all of her staffers used to work for either drug companies or health insurance companies. Some of them left in the middle of that to go work for drug companies and health insurance companies. The guys who make their ads are from the same companies, so they're fighting against universal health care. So when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi tell you, oh, we're for universal health care, and then they go behind the scenes and hire the guys who are against universal health care, that's how you know they're full of crap. So stop listening to these establishment Democrats who do not have your best interests in mind. They have their best interests in mind, and they get maximum money from these corporations and sell us out. Choose a true populist. We had our chance with Bernie in 2016 and 2020. We need to find the new Bernie and support that person, and do not listen to these crooks ever again. And last thing on this, I think that it was not in the Sludge article, but it's a fact that I often point out that's very relevant to this. Remember, all these companies get 15% of what they spend. I keep asking why. 15% is a giant number. She raised $1 billion. So combined, these type of companies got approximately $150 million that you guys donated to her. So you're telling me you can't find another company that isn't like all loaded up with corporate clients that could do it for 50 million? Look, we got rad ads at TYT. We could do it for 5 million and give you 10,000 times better ads. My point isn't TYT. My point is, this is a highway robbery.
This whole system is messed up. It really is. And the conflicts of interest are severe. And if the Democratic Party wants to keep losing, then they can just keep doing what they've been doing.
And for these companies, guys, they didn't lose the election. They made $150 million. Their profits skyrocketed. They're all high-fiving and drinking champagne right now. They don't give a damn that they lost. We lost. The people lost. The Democratic Party lost. But those corporate, clients of theirs won. They won. They made a spectacular amount of money. That's why they serve the donor class, because to them, winning or losing is just nearly irrelevant. It's a sideshow. Sucking up all that money and keeping 15% is their actual mission. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.